It's hard to imagine a time before we had these apps.
Head west, then turn left.
There are billions of people around the world who are using these navigation apps on a daily basis.
A core foundational goal from its birth is to be this sort of information center, then it makes sense that they want to own a vast amount of data that they can, including maps.
The world of AI seems to be a gift that just keeps on giving. This time, we are going to focus on what the guys at Google have for us. Apparently, they may have just done some major improvements on one of their most recognizable apps, Google Maps. Looking at what they have done, it looks like they have taken things to the next level when it comes to this navigation application, so much so that it is believed that it would change this niche forever. Let's take a look at some of these features that are set to change the way we view research, open planning, as well as virtual exploration forever. Time Machine. That's right, guys. One of the major updates that have been built into this well-recognized app. Well, simply put, this feature is said to be designed in a way that would take the user back in time virtually. They do this by providing historic imagery that dates back to almost a century. Imagine getting a look at what London, Paris, or Berlin looked like right before World War II. Some say that fascinating feature could take you all the way back to the 1930s. This feature is truly amazing, as it is capable of giving us aerial and satellite images of many neighborhoods, towns, cities, or even famous landmarks. This will allow us to know what these places looked like when our grandparents were the new kids in town, and as such, maybe you could live through some of their experiences back then. For example, it is believed that users can witness the development of the San Francisco waterfront. We can watch as it was just a shipping hub, welcoming all the maritime vehicles that made their way to the dock before it eventually became the modern tourist destination that we love today. As you guys can imagine, this ability to take a look at how some of our favorite places and landmarks developed over the decades will be the source of so much excitement for users who are curious about how these places came to be. On the other side of the scale, you'd find that this app could prove to be pivotal to people such as researchers, urban planners, and environmentalists. Looking at what this feature has to offer, it would give these types of people the chance to study how many urban and maybe rural areas developed during the course of the 20th century. That way, they can observe the infrastructural and environmental factors and events that come to the fore during such a time period. Fortunately, this feature isn't only limited to the more popular places in the world. You'd find that this feature is able to give us pivotal insights into what occurred all over the globe. We may even be able to tell how human activity changed the world, as we may have known it back then. Although we return to the USA, we can take a good example from California's Lake Oroville. When we make use of this app in this area, users can see how long-term droughts on the water in the area changed the landscape of this landmark for decades. We can then observe how the influx of rainwater eventually made it into what it is today. With that in mind, we can see how this time machine feature may prove to be a tool that environmental researchers could not do without in the near future. Time lapse. Keeping within the time travel theme, users will find that Google saw it fit to add another impressive feature that is called the time lapse feature. Apparently, Google made this feature work by collecting millions of images from the satellites hovering around our planets, so that they could visually map out how the Earth's landscape morphed as time went on in the last century or so. As you guys can probably tell already, this gives the user a picture of how many different regions all over the world had changed over the years. It allows us to observe anything from urban expansion to the deforestation of the forests and the coastal erosion of our seaside regions. As such, it is fair to say that time-lapse could be pivotal to the study of the world and our geography, as it will give us a detailed look at the way the world shifted into the shape that we see today. When some users eventually make use of these features, they may find that this feature will also show us how to track large-scale deforestation in places such as the Amazon. It may even give us more details about the impact of global warming on the frozen continent. As such, those who work in the world of climate science, conservation, or policy development may feel like they may need to add this to their arsenal if they were going to make the discoveries and breakthroughs that they needed to save the world. Looking at it again, there is no doubt that this feature may provide us with the decades worth of historical data that may help us learn more about the long-term planning when it comes to projects such as urban development or environmental conservation. Truly fascinating stuff indeed. Features in respect of the present. As fascinating as the features that help us look into the past may be, Google took it up a notch by making updates that would give us a different way to view the present. It is believed that they did this by making use of their cloud score or AI technology to make improvements to their satellite imagery while we are using it. It is believed that the AI used is trained with the use of millions of images, so that it won't be blocked by common objects and obstacles such as clouds, mists, or haze. As you guys can probably tell already, this gives images that are clearer and more immersive than anything that we may have witnessed in the past. At the very least, people can get a very clear view of the Earth, so much so that they will feel free enough to explore it without having to worry about weather-related obstacles at the end of the day. In the very least, this gives us a clearer view of the surface of the planet. With that, we're sure that some of the navigators watching this video cannot wait to check this feature out. Would it be possible for people such as pilots to make use of this feature? That may be a reach, but we're sure that some researchers would love to take a look at this feature to see what it may have to offer. Well, they may be served with detailed images of mountains and other features such as mountain shadows and snowy ice caps, giving us one of the most realistic images of the world that we have ever seen. Again, the researcher and other sorts of scientists and professionals who rely on geographical data would just love to check Google Maps out, just to test out such a cool feature. Cloud Score Plus. The guys at Google must have been busy at work with these updates because they were able to ensure that Cloud Score Plus would be able to make sure that satellite images are as detailed as they are precise when people make use of them. Don't take our word for it. Take a look at when a person is observing an area so that they could take note of the changes in the weather. With this update, users now don't have to worry about the cloud cover, which has been known to be something of an obstructive force to the users in the past. Thanks to the AI-powered update, we are sure that Google Maps is now much more reliable to the user, thanks to an increased rate of consistency and a good supply of good data. No doubt, this represents a massive improvement on what Google Maps and Earth used to be in the past. Street View service. Finally, users can appreciate the improvements made to the Street View service provided by the app. Now they can enjoy the addition of fresh imagery in as much as 80 new countries. Amazing! Now a lot of people have no excuse if they ever get lost. Not when we are observing what could be the largest addition to Street Views in recent times. Users, do not hesitate to go out exploring with the app because now you can find new destinations and new scenic landscapes that you had never heard of in your own city. With this update pretty much covering the entire world, users would find that they could pretty much explore any place that comes to their mind thanks to this amazing upgrade. Fingers crossed, this could be the upgrade that would change the nature of how we see the world forever.